Have you ever wondered what makes people want to try new things? Take actions beyond their current comfort zone. Change their world. Well, humans are ultimately rewards-based, and it comes down to our belief about the thing that we are taking actions towards. If somebody believes that something is possible, they will take positive actions towards that thing. But if somebody doesn't believe something's possible, well, they won't take positive actions towards that thing. It's pretty simple when you look at it, but it's not simple about how the process works inside of our brains. Our very animal brains are constantly judging the effort that we put out towards something as whether it will be worth it for us. And this is the tricky part. We are not always consciously aware of the judging process that's happening against our beliefs, which are stored in our subconscious mind. So we don't actually know which beliefs we have which are judging which actions we take towards something. So if we actually want to try new things, but it falls away, that drifting, that inspired idea, oh, I want to try this or I want to try this, but it just never happens. Well, something is happening unconsciously inside of our brains that's blocking it. And that's what I'm fascinated about. This unconscious process that's ruling our life and preventing people from doing what they want. Now, I have to admit something before I go any further in this video. This video was inspired not by good feelings inside of me, but rather frustration and almost anger over why more people don't know about that unconscious process that's blocking them from the things that they want to do, that's blocking them from their higher innate potential that so many other people seem to achieve in the world. I personally believe that everybody is born with certain gifts, talents, passions, and pursuits that they're meant to develop in the world. And what happens if throughout their lifetime they pick up on these things, these unconscious processes that block them from that? It's not only denying them the gift of this self-discovery of their full potential, but denying the world of that gifts, those talents that could probably be making the world a better place. Yes, I am frustrated. I'm frustrated that people don't know or don't seem to care about such a big issue. I'm frustrated that I found out about these processes, which I've learned that they're called limiting beliefs and subconscious blocks. I found out about them when I was 33. 33, and it was a byproduct of recovering from the psychological abuse that I endured. By the time I was 33, I was 9 years into my public school teaching career. 9 years I taught students, and I had no idea about the subconscious blocks that were happening, that were preventing them from learning and growing to their fullest potential in school. That blows my mind how I went and got a bachelor's of education, but I didn't know about this part of the psychology of learning and taking action. And I'm frustrated that when I started publishing these videos on limiting beliefs, that my parents watched them in support. That's not frustrating. That's amazing. But they came up to me and they're in their 70s and they had no idea what limiting beliefs were either. They were learning about them for the first time. How is this possible? I have this fire inside of me that makes me want to share more about this because it's something that's impacted my healing process and my career beyond something that I can even measure. It's something that I want more people to know about, that not only can they become aware of these hidden blocks and processes, but they can clear them and they can rewrite their brain and these subconscious programs, make it work for their life so they can find out what these talents and passions and skills that they're meant to develop in the world and take positive actions towards them and, well, just follow down that path of discovery, which could change their life into this beautiful, passionate soul dream that they came here to do. So here I dove into explaining why this is so passionate for me without actually introducing myself. My name is Sarah Tomlinson, the girl with many secrets, artist, advocate, and healer, here to inspire and empower you on your healing journey. And if you like this content, please take the chance to subscribe and hit that bell for notifications every time a new video gets posted. And if you find value in this video, I'd really appreciate it if you hit that thumbs up, because it helps other people find this content as well. This video is about what I've learned about limiting beliefs, why they're such a big deal, and tying it to my experience as a teacher. How I wish I knew that these limiting beliefs were the underbelly of so many failing or struggling students, and that positive beliefs were the source of students' success. I really believe that limiting beliefs need to be taught to educators and students, and taught in a way that it's not, hey, this is just what they are, but taught how to clear them. Actual strategies to become aware of what's going on inside their brain, where it come from, and how to clear it from their subconscious processing so it can stop negatively impacting their life. It might help if I tell you a little bit about my story and why I'm so passionate about beliefs. Both positive and detrimental beliefs have had a huge impact of why I'm standing here today telling you this. Now, the positive beliefs that I remember trace back to when I discovered art. I discovered them when I was in an abusive marriage, which I didn't know I was in at the time. But even with my low self-esteem back then, by my third piece, and this is my third piece, my pencil crayon sketch called Girl with Many Secrets, I just somewhere knew, it was a gut feeling arising within me that I wanted to be an artist. Now that is the inspired action. I want to do more art. I want to be an artist. And that wouldn't have been possible if it weren't paired with the belief that I could make it happen. I didn't know how. I didn't know when. I didn't know anything about becoming an artist, social media, having a different career than what I was doing, which was teaching. But I believed to the core of me that it was possible. And it changed my life. And not only did it change my life, it got me out of that abusive marriage because I pursued art. Even when it was starting to be punished in that household, I just knew I had to keep doing it. Now, the next part of the story happens when I got out. My negative and detrimental beliefs about me just destroyed me. I believed I wasn't worthy. I believed I was unlovable. I believed I was a disaster. I believed that the only way to feel normal was with drugs. These hidden beliefs destroyed my life after abuse. And it wasn't until I had a chance to rest in the hospital and time to reflect that I became really scared of how my mind was working. And I got a chance to stop the process and build my brain into something that could actually work for my life instead of destroy it. Because of my late initiation into the impact of limiting beliefs and the subconscious brain in our life, I have to say that I was an ineffective teacher. I tried my best. I got out of my bachelor's degree in education in teaching mathematics, believing that with the right amount of tools and strategies and classroom management, I can be a good teacher. But I had no idea about the root problem behind why some students just don't put in effort in some subjects, but put effort in other ones. Why students get good grades and why students don't. There is this huge misconception in our world that if we just put in a little bit more effort and hard work, we can become successful. Now, hard work and effort is really important in everything we do, but it does not determine what becomes successful in our life. What determines the success that we have when we are taking actions towards something is the beliefs behind it. If we have positive beliefs towards that thing, that determines more of the outcome of those actions than any kind of hard work or effort. The idea that hard work and effort will yield results was met as a falsehood in my memories as a teacher, where I just saw countless students struggle in their homework and not produce the grades that they wanted. Now, I taught math and science, and it's only a small percentage of the population that actually has like a disability in learning math. And an A and B grade, a B grade is 72%. Many students, especially in the underprivileged neighborhoods that I was teaching in, 72 was just beyond their limits. And yet I saw students work hard and not be able to get that 72%. So many students fell in that C range, and we have to wonder what's causing this, especially in underprivileged neighborhoods where it's possible that limiting beliefs could be more prevalent than other neighborhoods that are more privileged. Students do not get good grades and then believe they can do it. They believe they can do it, and then they get good grades. And on the other side of things, students don't get bad grades and then believe they can't do it. They believe they can't do it first and then get bad grades. And this creates a cycle of evidence in their life to take this belief as truth and who they are. So the student who believes they are bad at math takes actions or non-actions to make that true, receives poor grades, and then further believes that this is just true for them. They are bad at math, and the cycle continues. The amazing thing about the plasticity of the human brain is we can empower students and educators to clear this limiting belief from their brain and their nervous system to change that story. So they believe that it's possible to be good at something. So they'll take more positive actions towards it. They'll start to get evidence that this is true and rewrite their entire school story. So let's take a closer look at how students' negative beliefs that are stored subconsciously in their brain are negatively impacting their success rate in school. Now, I am going to be using a juvenile example. Even if you're an adult watching this video, it's something that we can all relate to. The reason we are so unaware of a lot of these processes in our brains is how the conscious mind and subconscious work together. Now, the conscious mind is meant to be really efficient throughout the day and be able to make fast decisions. So the subconscious works to alleviate a lot of this work. So we take in a lot of stimulus throughout the day, and only 1% of that our conscious mind is aware of. That doesn't mean we're missing things. We're still taking it all in. 99% of the stimulus that we are getting goes straight back to the subconscious mind, where we have stored programs as beliefs about the world. And it's judging this information as either good or bad for us really quickly. These beliefs that we've picked up throughout our life or even passed down our family and generational lines are taken as truths. And it's these truths that are the programs that are running our life. So some stimulus comes in, hits a truth, hits a program, hits a belief, fires back to our conscious mind, not a conscious thought of what's happening, but a feeling. A feeling of, oh yes, go in that direction, or a feeling of, oh, that's not for me, I'm going to avoid that. You see, we'll do anything to avoid bad feelings like shame or guilt. And often our negative experiences that happened in our early childhood, which turn into beliefs and truths about the world, have those negative feelings attached to them. So if a student has a negative experience in math that they probably don't really remember really early on in school, it's formed a belief and truth about math in their subconscious mind. So whenever they see some sort of stimulus about math, it's bringing up feelings of shame and guilt and run away and go towards something that they believe is possible. They're just following those good feelings and avoiding really terrible feelings that negatively impact our biological system, like shame. You see, children, when a negative experience happens to them, they don't have the capacity and processing to deal with it in a logical way or step back and not take it personally. So let's go back to the example where the teacher just might have been having a bad day. We're all human. And this bad day somehow generated an experience with a negative association with math homework. And instead of knowing and processing it like that, a young child would take it personally and say, oh, this is my fault. I'm just not good at this. This is why they're mad at me. This is why the bad thing happened. And it somehow gets written in, I'm not bad at math, or math is something bad. And that's enough to store a truth in their subconscious mind that deters them from math for long enough that a few years down the line, let's say grade 5 or grade 6, they're struggling with math because they've avoided it. And they're seeing their grades and the success rate just fall in comparison, compared to other students. This is why the classroom can be a hotspot for limiting beliefs. They believe they are not good at math compared to other people because of their negative experience. Fast forward to a few more years, they've forgotten about the early childhood experience, and all they see is this evidence in their life, the grades that have built up. They're in grade 10 now, and they're failing. Well, of course they're failing. They're just bad at math. It's a truth for their life. And unless they find some way to change that and clear it and rewrite it with the actual truth of, if I sat down and actually tried to learn this, I probably could figure it out and I'd probably be pretty good at math. But instead, this limiting belief has changed the course of their life. And this truth of I'm not good at math determines how they graduate, determines what school they go to, determines whether they start a business, determines their future career, determines their future income, which could just change what relationship they get into, which neighborhood they settle into. It changes everything and determines the entire course of their life. Even the best teachers who are trying to work with students to improve their grades and help them believe in themselves are fighting an uphill battle against their subconscious mind and their nervous system that are holding these truths for their life extremely rigidly. Now, I tried to get many math students to do their homework, and I even was successful in that. Somehow, I managed to get a lot of my students in these underprivileged neighborhoods to do their homework. And while their grades improved a little bit, the students that ultimately will do well did well. And the students who were in those B and C ranges were still in the B and C ranges. This is why I was being ineffective as a teacher. I didn't know the root problem behind these success rates. Not knowing the root problem affects our compassion towards our students and our own actions towards them. We'll come down on them for not doing their homework, for not studying on the test, for not doing all the problems. Why aren't you doing this thing? Why aren't you doing this thing? Well, that's also giving them a further bad experience in the subject. This isn't helping because it's reinforcing what they already believe to be true, reinforcing the shame that they already feel from when they were young. So that's a problem in itself. But we really can't blame these students who are unconsciously running on our programs in our brain. It's just how our brains work. So what's happening? The student has a program that they are bad at math. The subconscious runs our life. And if we have a program about something, it will happen in our life. And I have a really funny example for this, which is years ago, I believed I got caught on everything. I would wear sweaters and jackets, and every single time I passed through a door, I would get caught on the handle and I go, oh, and I believed that I got caught on everything. And so I got caught on everything. And it was only when I got out of the abusive marriage and I was looking at all of my beliefs in my life that I thought, what if I stopped believing that I got caught on everything? What would happen? Well, I stopped getting caught on everything. That's funny how that works. The truth of my subconscious created more evidence in my life for that thing. If you're not freaked out about that, you should be. The truth that I get caught on everything determined the actions that I took to get caught on everything. So if a student believes he's bad at math, the actions, it's like a program that determines, that's talking in his brain saying, well, if you're bad at math, we're going to do all of the things to reinforce that you're bad at math. So he's going to go home and he's not going to open his backpack. His brain is just carrying out the program in his subconscious mind. That's all it's doing. It's carrying out the truth that's been programmed there. He's not going to open his backpack. He's not going to study for that test. It's like a computer. It's like a computer chip that's running his actions. How can we yell at a student for this? Unless we teach him how to reprogram his computer, flush out the viruses, and getting working normally again. So that is a startling thing in itself. It can rule our actions. And I've mentioned it also influences our feelings. So even if he does come home and he looks at his backpack and he's like, well, I should study for that test tomorrow. We all have those thoughts. Oh, I should do this thing. I should want to do this thing. He looks at the backpack, the stimulus goes straight back to his subconscious mind, relays into his conscious mind, not anything formulating logically about what's happening. It formulates that feeling of shame, of guilt, of unpleasantness. And shame is the hardest feeling. We feel it in our gut. We avoid shame like we avoid the plague in our life. He's not going to touch that backpack, even though it will propel him on a path of more shame. And this is why students also have poor behaviors in class. They go to math class and they'll look at anything and do anything that's not math. They won't take the notes. Anything related to math will bring up those unpleasant feelings. That's how his brain is working. It's taking in that stimulus. The subconscious is firing those feelings time and time again. So of course he's going to do something that feels better, like talk to his friend, like go on his phone, like completely avoid anything that feels like shame, which feels like death to our system. This is pretty startling, finding out that our body and brain can run like a program, like a computer. And it's not just our subconscious mind, it's our nervous system that gets programmed through negative experience as well. It's all related to the fight or flight response. And these programs in our nervous system can not only get passed down from within this lifetime, get passed down through our family lines. So we could already be born into life with some of our mothers and fathers' programs into our nervous system, which could be great, and it could also be detrimental. So if a student is coming from a line of generational trauma, it could already affect how they're doing in school, regardless of whether they have a bad experience with a teacher or other students. Shouldn't we be teaching students how to clear their past programming and make a life of fresh programming that would be empowering to create the life they actually want? We really need to be teaching limiting beliefs and how to clear them from our subconscious mind and our nervous system in school. Just imagine how many lives it would change and how it would positively impact the world. When I started learning about limiting beliefs and the subconscious mind, the power of the subconscious mind, I was really startled at the deep impact they have on our actions. If we believe something to be true in our life, the subconscious will dutifully carry it out in our life. And this goes beyond doing something or not doing something, like the student looking at the backpack and deciding to open it or not. If he's forced to sit down on a quiz or a test, obviously he's not going to want to do it. And that's why I have students just hand me a paper after 5 minutes and maybe they have their name written down. No, I'm not going to do it. It breaks my heart when that happens. But one step further, if they manage to fill it out, what will happen is their subconscious mind will trick them into filling the questions in wrong to provide more evidence that they are bad at math. So instead of writing down 8 times 8 is 64, it will trick their brain into writing down 8 times 8 is 16. If that doesn't scare you or startle you, what does? It's very similar to just me walking past doorway knobs. It's going to happen and adjust it just right, so that becomes just a truth for my life that I expect. The subconscious can accidentally trick our brain into doing things just to create evidence for that truth. You might be thinking, would students even get on board with the idea of being taught limiting beliefs? Would they believe it's even possible to change their brain? Well, I was pleasantly surprised in my last year of teaching when I discovered about limiting beliefs. I just had to go in and share my knowledge with students. So I'd start explaining about the relationship between our subconscious and our feelings and the impact of feelings on our systems, and that we can change our limiting beliefs to create more positive results. And I was shocked at the response from students. Generally, it was really optimistic. They wanted to learn more. I even had students come up to me after I taught it, and they'd come up to me and said, "Is it really true what you said?" And I say, "Yeah, it is." They're like, "So it's not my fault I'm this way." I'm like, "No, it's not your fault. If you've had a bad experience, it's impacted you, but you can wipe the slate clean and change your story." And one student even came up to me and said, "I've changed his life by telling him and empowering him that he can rewrite what's happened. And if only he changes and clears what's written in his subconscious, he can create and do anything he wants in his life." I changed a student's life that day. Isn't that what we want for our students? Isn't that what we want for everybody? To be empowered, to be able to do whatever they want in their life and be successful. Success as they define it. Happiness doesn't come from beautiful things like houses and cars. It comes from doing things. It comes from being proud and trusting ourselves to create things in our life. Just imagine that we could start that at such an early age. In fact, I was worried that if I taught this too early to grade 8s or grade 9s, it would be above them. In fact, just in my small sample of the year that I introduced this to students, I was proven wrong. The older I introduced it to students, it really varied on how well they took it. Now, it depended which class I taught it in. I did try to teach it in math classes, and they're like, why am I learning about this in a math class? This has nothing to do with math. And they actually rejected it because it didn't fit in with the curriculum or the frame of their perception of what they should be learning in math. It didn't seem valuable to them. When I taught it in personal development classes, though, it was just a part of the curriculum. It was a part of their personal development, and older students took it better. However, when I taught it to younger students, even in science or math classes, they soaked it up like a sponge. They were very receptive to this information. So just imagine if it was taught to students at a young age, it could just change the course of their lives forever and create more empowered adults out there in the world. I'm just envisioning a world with more empowered adults, and I see a world with less crime. I see higher incomes. I see better relationships. It changes everything. I now teach about limiting beliefs and clearing and rewriting techniques to adults as a part of my art career in regular workshops that I hold online. But what I found is the opposite is true. Adults are not as receptive to this information. Only the people who it seems to hit right in their life, they're on that life journey of wanting to improve themselves or wanting to change careers or wanting to do better in something that they've already taken a leap on, or they've just seen a glimpse of what clearing a belief can do in their life. But a lot of people seem like it bypasses their frame. But I wouldn't be standing here today. I wouldn't have the career I've had without constantly recognizing limiting beliefs, becoming aware of them, and having multiple strategies to clear them from my conscious, subconscious mind and my nervous system. This goes far beyond just catching negative thoughts, which is an important part of the process. When we have negative thoughts about something, it gives a lot of hints as to where our limiting beliefs are in our life. But I've seen in my own career, if I just change the negative thoughts to positive thoughts, it does not change the programming that's happening in the subconscious and does not change the programming in the nervous system that really summons those gut responses to those negative feelings. And this isn't a one and done kind of healing process. It's a constant process of peeling one layer at a time. There is no way that you can change all of the negative experiences and all of the generational program in just one session. So it is a constant healing process of stripping away the layers and rewriting and changing the energy of the body to make it work for us, where we trade limiting beliefs for more empowering beliefs, where we clear the negative and blocked energy in our body and our subconscious and trade it for positive energy. If you're wondering out how to start in your life, awareness and acceptance is key. To almost walk around as an observer and a curious observer of your own actions and your own thoughts and your own feelings towards something. Be aware of the triggers. Be aware of when you look at something. Do you get a negative emotion? Be aware of some of those negative thoughts that are going on in your mind. Of course, if you would like to learn more about the strategies and tools that I've talked about in this video, I do host clearing events and workshops semi-regularly. I've left my Linktree link below in the description, and on there you can see if there's any recent workshop coming up that you can join. We are not victims to the life that's happening to us. We can take charge of how our brain works. We can take charge of the programs in our subconscious mind, and we can be a master of the energy that's happening in our body to become the masters and creators of our life. So let me know in the comments. Have you become aware of any negative thoughts that you have about yourself, about anything that you want to do? Becoming aware of our thought processes is so important to change. So let me know in the comments. Do you experience a lot of negative thoughts? You're not alone. Do you struggle with these negative thoughts? They are the first hints to discovering what your negative limiting beliefs are. And I'd like to remind you again to hit that thumbs up if you've enjoyed this video and want to spread the message to other people about limiting beliefs. For now, I want to wish you a beautiful day, and I want to send you so much love on your healing journey.